order the February 12th public hearing for the City of Tampa's Architectural Review Commission. Welcome, everyone. I'm Ted Kempton, Chair of the Commission. If you are here to present a project, you will have limited time to make your presentation, so we suggest being thorough but concise. When coming to the microphone, you will need to identify yourself and your relationship to the project. The commissioners will not ask any questions during your presentation. Your project should be presented in the following order: site plan, elevations, architectural details, wall sections. Staff will then present their report. We will ask for public comment, and if you are here to speak, please state your name and spell your name. You will have a limited to 3 minutes to speak, so take some time now to summarize your comments because 3 minutes goes by very quickly. Following public comment, the commissioners will ask questions in the same order as the presentation. Next, the applicant will have 5 minutes for a rebuttal. The public hearing will then be closed. After the public hearing is closed, no further testimony can be given. The commissioners will then discuss the case and will make their decision based on Chapter 27 of the City Code of Ordinances, the design guidelines, the Secretary of Interior standards, Historic Preservation Development Review Committee comments, and the testimony given at the public hearing. The ARC can only act on items that are within our specific jurisdictional responsibility. Owner agents are independently responsible to obtain any appropriate permits and/or approvals. If you haven't already done so, please silence cell phones. And I'll start on my left with the introductions of the commissioners.
My name is John Prokop. I practice architecture. Brian Hammond, architect.
Dan Myers, architect.
And we also have Dennis Fernandez, Alexis Guzman, and our attorney, Dana Crosby Collier.
Good evening, Commissioners. Dennis Fernandez, Architecture Review and Historic Preservation Manager. I'll ask our legal counsel to inquire about ex parte communication and conflicts of interest.
Yes, thank you very much. Good evening, Dana Crosby Collier from the City Attorney's Office. I'd like to inquire if any member has a conflict of interest with any item on the agenda this evening.
I have none.
Thank you. And has any member had an ex parte communication regarding any item?
I have none.
Thank you so much.
Okay, with that, we do not have any continuations this evening, but we do need to administer the swear-in. So anyone who is going to be providing testimony or giving public comment, if you could please stand and raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're providing today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
And with that, we're ready for our first case. This evening's first case, ARC-000047, is located in the Tampa Heights Historic District at 2904 North Elmore Avenue, and the request is for new construction of a single-family residence and site improvements. See that on your monitor? Very good. On the Elmo, we have the Tampa Heights Historic District map. You see the subject property at the base of the red arrow highlighted in green. Is situated on Elmore Avenue, just to the west of the interstate. Just zooming in because that is a little bit of a far shot. You see that situation. You do see that the lot does not extend all the way to the rear line. This is a separate lot of record, and this particular lot is what we're looking at. It is an unusual size lot from what you typically will see in the area, but it is a legal lot of record. Just providing you a little more graphic of the subject property on Elmore. You see Interstate 275. This is Florabraska, and then you have Robles just to the south. The 1929 Sanborn map, when this was produced, you see that there was a structure on the site. The lot configuration has been somewhat adjusted since then. The subject property takes up the green portion that's highlighted. I do want to bring to your attention that in the staff report, the photo that was presented in the staff report is not the correct photo of the parcel. It's the adjacent vacant lot. So the photo that I'm placing on the Elmore right now is the correct lot. And the photo that was in your staff report is the lot here to the north. See the subject property fronting off of Elmore? As you move along that fence line to right about where the telephone pole is, that's the edge of the lot. You see the public notice sign there, about the same area. The lot to the south actually fronts off of Robles, so this would be the side of that particular parcel. This was the photo that was in your staff report of the vacant parcel to the north. To the north of that is a contributing structure. Looking south down Elmore, this is the perspective. The subject property would be on your immediate right, and you see the wall from Interstate 275 on the left. Turning around and looking back towards the north, towards Florabraska, this is the same perspective with the interstate here on the right, and then the residences on the left, on the west side. So with that, I do want to mention before we call the applicant up that there is a letter in your packet from one of the adjacent neighbors at the time when public comment comes up that would be relevant. We do have 30 minutes for review of a certificate of appropriateness, so I'll invite the applicant up to make their presentation.
Good evening, everybody. Tyler Thibodeau with Onyx Construction, proposing 2904 Elmore here, as Dennis mentioned. Site plan first here. So working with setbacks on the front here, 15 feet. Our porch, we were instructed, is allowed to encroach into that front setback. It is 6 feet. The side setback is 9 feet. The rear back here is 20 from the lot line, and the side setback here is 5, for a combined total of 14. Here's another illustration of where our front porch setback is going to be in correlation with another property along the street, just 2 houses to the north. Shows continuity. Here are the elevations. As you can see, the lot's kind of narrow. We're going for more of a shotgun style house. Front elevation, keeping it narrow. Got the front door in the center here. Windows along all the front. Side elevations. Windows are just kind of strategically placed in the rooms there. There's a side entrance here on the right elevation, and there's also just a rear door off of the back. believe wall sections were up next. So we have here a wall detail, 24-inch overhangs, working from the roof line down. We can do an architectural shingle, 24-inch overhangs, wood soffit, wood fascia, eight-inch, 6-inch or 8-inch lap siding. And the windows will be trimmed out in a similar, I think there's even a detail on here. Window detail, trimmed out to match kind of the historical detail, 5/4 sill on the bottom, shown here. And I think we have a couple minor details here that we want to bring up. Porch beam details, just a vernacular square post up here. The corner details, just 1x4 primed corners, craftsman style, trying to fit in with the area. Some of our material selections, just standard hardy plank lap siding. It's pretty common down there on the new builds that everybody's using. We're not looking to deviate and do anything different. We're just looking to fit in with the area. This one here is going to be a 7-inch lap by the time you install them. Hardware. Antique bronze, aged bronze, just fits in with the era of this building here, and the 20s, 30s down there. With traditional building, we do have a vinyl window, open to other ideas, but this is just the most cost-effective route to go. But we're going to trim them out and make them fit in with the historic guidelines the best that we can. And just an architectural dimensional shingle, pretty standard, nothing crazy. Just like I said, just looking to fit in. Also open to some metal roofs on some of the overhangs and everything. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioners, Dennis Fernandez with staff. Wanted to just premise the staff report with the fact that the drawings that were evaluated in the staff report are not what you saw this evening. They have been continuing to work with Elaine, who's not here this evening, on trying to refine the drawings and address a number of the staff concerns. I'll stick with what we had published by the deadline, which was a determination of inconsistency. There wasn't an issue with a site plan that was going to prevent them from going forward. That's been resolved. They are showing the correct setbacks now on the site plan that you saw today. So that being said, the case can move forward through the architecture review process, not needing a variance. So I'll cover some of the issues in the staff report that I was able to discern from the presentation. I was not able to see all the details at that distance, but perhaps the the applicant can review those in questions if you want to drill down on those. So there was a number of errors on the drawings that needed to be cleaned up. I noticed some of those had been done. We met yesterday and I conveyed some of those issues with the elevations and the dimensions, particularly in the wall section with the overhangs. If during questions you can maybe have them actually call out all those details from the roof down to the foundation, that may help. So they are not indicating any fencing on the site plan. In my conversation, there was not fencing that was being proposed. However, there was a discussion about screening the mechanical equipment, so that may be another issue that needs some more discussion. Did appear that they extended the walkway from the porch to the sidewalk. That was one of our concerns. One of the envelope concerns that we had was the alignment of the building on the front wall plane. There's a projection on the first story that does not carry up to the second story, steps out into the porch. That's a very unusual characteristic on the front of a historic structure. So without a historic reference, that's something that we had requested to be put in line from the second story to the first story. If they could talk to the depth of the porch. Typically, on a front porch, 8 foot is looked as the minimum. If there's references on the block that are less than that they are relying upon, then they should present those dimensions. They could speak to the building elevation from grade, how high up the building is from the grade to the finished floor, to ensure that that datum line across the contributing structures is maintained. More information on the foundation detail. Looks like there's a stem wall detail. Not sure what the finish on that will be or if it will reflect an elevated foundation, which is more compatible with the district. Structures, as the applicant said, it's a reference to a shotgun. However, the depth of the building is quite extensive, and I believe that that's kind of contributing to the overall mass that I'm seeing. And so I was asking for some type of relief, either through stepping or through architectural embellishment to try to break up those side masses. If you could also review the soffit condition. There was some conflicts with the types of soffits that were being shown in the original plans. The front porch slope, if he could review his reference to the porch roof and its slope, seems in elevation to be quite steep and might benefit from being dropped a little bit for the front mass. More information on the porch columns. Are they a square column? Is there trim? Is there base? Is there a capital? What is going on there? The drawings which we saw did not have any fenestration on the front or the rear. I think there were some fenestration that may have been added to these. So just to reiterate, where there's been new windows that weren't reflected on the original drawings. Seems like they corrected the paired windows. However, I did not get a good look at the diagram of the window. We would want that historically trimmed window with a 2-inch sill and the heavier trim around the window to give it some shadow. Also, the window installation details to show that there is some relief there, some shadow line. Typically, we see some sort of covering over exterior doors. These doors do not have any type of covering. Sometimes it's a shed roof. It seems to be a good idea, particularly because there's an access door to the second floor on the side of the building. Overhang should be a minimum of 2 feet. Once again, in the wall section, we would want to see that called out. He provided roof materials. I would like to hear more about the soffit details. The exterior wall materials, a hardy was shown. We would want that to be a smooth hardy and not the textured hardy. And at the appropriate time, we would need to see the lighting as well. So that concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Great, thank you, Dennis. Is there anybody in the public who would like to speak for or against this project? Come on up. Yep, please state your name.
Yes, sir. Dennis, could I have a picture of my house?
Sure.
Thanks. How do I get that? Is it up there? There it is. Yeah, it makes me feel more at home. Appreciate it. Chair Kempton, Commissioners, my name is Rick Fernandez. I reside at 2906 North Elmore Avenue in Tampa Heights. I own that house. It's the residence immediately to the north of the subject property. I also am president of the Tampa Heights Civic Association. So I am here both in my individual and representative capacity to say that I, as a resident and neighbor to this property, oppose the application and ask you to deny it. As president of the Civic Association, we have the chair of our land use committee here today, Roger Grunke. He'll get into more of the details. He's actually a professional at this stuff. I'm not. But they have authored a letter in opposition, which is part of the email that I sent this morning that should be part of your packet. I'm not going to bore you trying to read that to you. I incorporate it by reference. Hopefully you've had a chance to review it. It includes the comments from the Land Use Committee. There's some potential confusion here on the landmass itself. 2904 North Elmore is actually made up of 3 parcels. Dennis did give you an idea of that with the color coding. I own 2 of those parcels. One of the parcels is the one that Onyx now owns, that is the subject property before you. My properties actually border the subject property to the north and to the west. So as you look at the property scale, those are my interests in terms of property arrangement. The house that you're seeing here is one property over removed. 2904 is actually my side lot. Really, I'm here probably more about color commentary than I am trying to address issues that are in the staff report. They've done a good job, and I've incorporated it, and I approve. I hope you'll follow the staff recommendation and deny. But it's important that you understand that this particular stretch of Elmore between Florabraska and Columbus borders the interstate. This is the place where the historical Tampa Heights neighborhood, historic Tampa Heights local and national districts interface with the concrete jungle that is the Department of Transportation and Interstate 275. It is critical, in my humble opinion, that we do everything we possibly can to shore up the historic bona fides of that stretch of road. We have a number of contributing structures along that area of Elmore. Mine happens to be one. It's 100 years old this year. And frankly, I think if the Onyx construction is permitted to move forward, it will damage and weaken the historic structure and tapestry of the neighborhood. So I ask you please, given my time limitations, to deny the application. I'll stick around certainly for any questions you may have.
Great, thank you very much.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Roger Grunke. I'm an architect and building contractor and urban advocate. I also am a neighbor. I live at 2708 North Elmore Avenue, just a short ways down the street, in a house that is a contributing structure and is 113 years old. My analysis, first of all, I think the staff did a wonderful job in analyzing the proposal. Not only am I opposed to this project, but I'm also miffed that the applicant would not be prepared in that the drawings were not submitted 10 days in advance. I feel that our time is being wasted as well as yours and staff, that we have to be here with drawings that are unclear and, as I say, 10 days late. As far as that design goes, my primary objection is the massing of this building. It is so long and so narrow that it is something that we would have seen in downtown Tampa at the turn of the century, the beginning of the 19th century, or in Ybor City. It has this long commercial feel to it. That is not what our neighborhood is represented by. When I was chair of the Barrio Latino, the first thing we asked the applicant was, where is your precedent? Whether it's the precedent is still extant, or do you have a photograph of something in the period of importance, of significance? And this building does not fit in to that anything that was built in the neighborhood during the period of significance, which is the 1890s to 1945. I think the problem is with the parcels themselves. And if the investor really wants to build something there, the investor should work out the problem of the undersized parcels, so that a building that fits into the neighborhood could be designed and constructed there. Thank you, and please turn this down.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who is here to speak for or against this project? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to commissioner questions, and I will start on my right.
Okay. Could you bring up the sheet where you had the street setbacks?
Absolutely. The illustration or the drawing?
You had I believe there are only two residences on the block, right? And so it showed the setbacks for those two residents, and then it showed the space, and then,
This one here?
yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so, and my understanding has been for some time, and I guess this is a question for staff as well, that an average of all of the setbacks on the block was what we were looking for. Dennis, is that correct?
Dennis Fernandez with staff. So typically, the average is what's requested for review, because within the zoning code, the ability to deviate from the established setback is granted to the zoning administrator in accordance with conversation with the historic preservation manager to verify that the proposed setback is an average of the block. So
Right.
That's a long way of saying yes.
So, yeah, so we're looking for an average. And it seems like what you have done is you have used the house that is set the closest. Is that correct?
We've just used an average of what was along the block. This is one good example. I think there's another one on the corner that might be a little bit closer. Obviously, the one directly to the north of us here is set back a little bit further.
I thought these were the only two houses on the block.
There's one more that's on the corner over here, but that house faces, I think, the other street. And then there's one here that I believe faces Elmore. Faces Flora Basco, okay. So those are the only two houses on the block.
Okay. So there, it would seem that there is somewhat of a problem with the setback. And the paving and the driveway, what is it seems like you're showing some brick on the driveway, is that correct?
There should be no brick on the driveway. These are just, driveway, these are aprons. This is just, grass.
Okay. But you have the code required 2 spaces
Yes,
on that driveway behind the house. And the width of that driveway is your,
9 feet.
Can you go ahead with the site plan up?
Yep.
And zoom in if you would, please.
okay, so there you're actually showing us the ribbon driveway. You're showing some brick there. And then you've got this 9-foot driveway that goes, well, that fills the setback, right?
Say that again?
Your 9-foot driveway fills the entire setback between the house and the property line.
We had to leave I believe a foot here in
So-
between the driveway, but
Oh.
yes.
So it's actually an 8-foot driveway, because it's a 9-foot setback. I can see the 9-foot setback, and
Yep.
you have like 6 inches on either side.
Yeah,
Is
so
that
this
the
is
deal?
probably more like 8 by 54, yep. 9-foot setback, and I believe we have to leave, yep, a foot in between there.
Okay. All right, I don't have any further questions at this time.
Commissioner Hammond?
I don't have any questions.
Commissioner Prokop?
I see where the note here says that it's a 20-foot setback. Are there dimensions on the site plan, or is it just a statement of a 20-foot setback on the rear?
You're asking about the distance from here to here?
Yeah, I see the words that
Right.
say 20-foot setback, but I don't see any dimensions on the site plan stating that that's actually 20 feet.
Okay. Yeah, we can
I'm
dimension that for you, but
Okay.
I
I'm
trust
just,
that
I'm
my-
just trying, these drawings become record.
Right.
So we have to clarify what's on them and what's not on them.
Right,
Not to interrupt, but are you stating that it's 20 feet?
yes.
Okay. Can you, let me see if I had anything else on the site plan here. Do the first and the second floors now align?
They do.
Okay. What is the porch depth that you are describing? It's impossible to read on this drawing. Can you zoom in?
I agree, it is impossible to read. It is 6 feet.
Okay, and was the comment from staff that an 8-foot is typical going to be accommodated?
Say that again?
The staff comment that we heard, and it's part of the written documents on their comments, was that an 8-foot minimum front porch is typical of the district. Is that going to be, are the drawings going to be modified to accommodate that?
Yes, it will.
Okay. Where are the mechanical units in this drawing?
Shown over here with a screen fence around them.
What's the fence made out of?
Similar material to the exterior, the same material actually to the exterior.
What's that?
Hardy siding.
So it'll be a solid, it'll be a wall rather than a fence.
Yeah, about 3 feet tall.
Would you be amenable to not using vinyl windows?
Absolutely.
Can you bring up your wall sections again?
Yep.
Or actually, leave it here for a second. Do you have a percentage of site coverage? for this lot? Anywhere documented in the site plan?
I don't know if that is on here, actually.
I mean, there's a lot of writing over on the left-hand side.
Yep.
There's a site table there on the left.
So the first floor of the building is, if I can read this correctly, is 1893, is the actual footprint of the building?
I believe that includes the front porch as well.
Okay, and is there, again, it's on the applicant to prove that this is reflective of other properties in the district, on your block. Do you have any information on the other buildings, other houses on the block, and what their site coverage percentages are?
I don't.
Do you have examples of other houses in the district that are precedent for this mass, height, volume, narrowness, length of these scale and proportions?
No, there's a two-story to the north of us, and there's a two-story to the south of us.
It's not just a height or anything, it's an actual, you know, the proportion of the width to the length.
Yep.
I've lived in a shotgun house. I lived in a shotgun house in New Orleans. I'm familiar with the scale and the proportions. They're usually not this long.
Right.
This is twice as long as a typical shotgun house. So you don't have other examples of anything that's remotely close to this scale and proportion and length and dimension?
No, not on this area.
Okay. Okay, now can you bring up the sections, please?
The wall section?
Yeah. That's the only sections you have, right, is the wall section?
Yep.
Okay.
May I add something on the porch setback? Just to add something on the porch setback really quick, I understand.
Can you identify yourself?
Oh, yeah, my name is Parker Sanchez with Onyx Construction Group. For the porch setback that we had discussed, we understand that there is usually an averaging of the setbacks in the neighborhood, but we, under the direction of Elaine Lund, had chosen that specific property to mirror. I don't know if she can clarify that when she's back or not. Thank you.
Okay, and zoom out a little bit, but not too much. Okay, what's happening at the ground level?
So this is a monolithic footing on slab.
So this looks like the building is, what, 6 inches above grade? So slab on grade? What do the elevations say?
0. It's not tied to the elevation.
I know this is a slab on grade with no step up, no steps.
The front porch shows a little bit of, obviously, height elevation there. So you're gonna have 2 steps, so it looks like, 14 inches probably. So, the particular architect that we chose on this project, for lack of better words, is terrible, and I don't think we're gonna use them again. So there's a lot of, I understand that there's a lot of inconsistencies with the drawings here, and that's
And right,
one of
and
the
what we
reasons.
approve is what we approve, and we
I-
have to, we can't approve stuff that doesn't agree with itself,
I understand.
kind of thing.
And that's, we've been trying to correct that over the last couple of
I
days,
understand.
and it's been a struggle.
Do you have the heights of the porches of the adjacent houses?
No,
So we don't know if 14 inches is anything close to what the adjacent houses have.
The adjacent houses do have, an elevation. I don't know what that is. It's probably 2 feet or less. So we're trying to be consistent with those.
Okay. Do we have any evidence of that?
I
Of those
believe-
adjacent houses?
I believe Dennis has a couple, elevations.
Okay.
But we can bring those for you.
Keep the wall sections up, please.
Sorry.
So is the building a slab on grade or not a slab on grade?
It is a slab on grade,
It is a slab on grade, but the slab's 2 feet in the air,
yes.
or 14 inches in the air, some number?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. How is the face of that concrete treated?
Cut stucco. We'll provide a detail on that.
Okay, can you zoom into the connection between the site? Is this a generic site plan or section, or is this done by your architect? I guess I need to ask that. Is this drawn for this house, or is this a standard generic section, wall section that doesn't really reflect this house?
To answer your question, honestly, I think this is a mixture of both. I think this is a generic site plan that he took and tried to modify to get it to, reflect our 24-inch overhang, wood soffit fascia. We're using floor trusses.
I understand that, but I mean, again, what we're approving is we're approving the house, and if it's not what the house is going to be built of, it's kind of ironic. From a window standpoint, there is a depth and shadow lines of windows in historic houses. None of them are built out flush to the face of the house, ever, in historic buildings.
Okay.
In this, you can see even just at this distance, at this scale, the window is flush with the face of the house. And that's because it's a vinyl fin window. And the vinyl fin window is the cheapest thing you can buy. And it smacks to the outside of the framing, and that's not what is acceptable in a historic district generally. You have to design and do something different with these windows and the framing so that they're recessed in, so there's a shadow line and all that kind of thing. So that's another problem with this wall section. Can you zoom into the foundation at the bottom, please? Even more. Where does the siding stop and start? And again, when you're saying there's stucco on the face of the concrete, but
Right.
the drawing doesn't show stucco on the face of the concrete in section. And in architecture also, we generally, you look to the details to tell you things that you don't draw on the elevations. You draw the elevations all funky and generic and all that kind of stuff, and when you draw the details, this is what tells you what's actually happening.
Yep.
And this is not telling us what's actually happening.
Understand.
So we don't have the information here to approve or disapprove or comment on.
I think at the time, then we would like to ask for a continuance so we can go back and work and provide that information for you guys.
Okay?
I might suggest that we finish the line of questioning so that when you go back, you might have a little bit more information.
Absolutely, I agree.
I'm done.
Okay, I've got a couple.
You've got more. Okay, go ahead.
Go back to the site plan, please.
Yes.
So you have put a very big structure on a very tight site. This board is not opposed to filling up a site if it's appropriate. Commissioner Prokop has already pointed out that your elevation and site plan is inconsistent, but draw your attention to your door on the north side. Commissioner Myers pointed out that your driveway is really, call it 8 feet wide, which is bare minimum. I don't understand how that door works. If you're 2 feet up, are you gonna have a landing, you're gonna have steps coming out, and if you do, then that's no longer a driveway from that point. So then that calls into question is, do you meet the 2-car minimum standard? So one way you solve that is you inset that, which if you bring your elevations back up, was one of the key questions of this whole thing is how do you break this mass up?
Right.
So if you'll bring that elevation back up, the north side, and what I would pose to you is, did you give any thought to not making this a two-story structure from front to back? And you don't have to answer right now, but you have some major flaws with your floor plan.
Yep.
You can see where this is going, and if you look at your neighboring houses, they are not 2 stories front to back. So this, you need to give some thought of fundamentally changing this layout and not trying to maximize square footage in this volume. And it would architecturally probably
Yeah,
do good things for this project.
I agree, and we're definitely open to those changes and, so to say, stepping that back. I think it'll help blend in with the neighborhood very well.
So just staying on this elevation, you look at the rear porch, and I appreciate your comment that you're not happy with your designer, but that is completely unacceptable for us to approve
Right.
because it doesn't line up with anything. It looks like it was thrown together very quickly, and you really need to put a lot more effort into this because we will not approve things. We work with staff all the time, but you got to get the math right. We'll work with staff on some detailing, but when there are glaring issues like that, it calls into question everything, and it becomes a snowball effect. So,
Yeah, I understand.
all right, does anybody else have any other comments?
Well, just while you have those elevations up, if you could just let me see that elevation that is just above the one that's on the screen showing the front porch. Okay, so that's the front. You stated that the front elevation was lining up, but on this drawing, it doesn't. So you just may want to note that. I mean, that's one of the staff's comments was.
That's a good point.
That the front elevation lines up.
I think we talked about kind of, with what you guys are telling me, stepping this back is probably what's ideal.
Well, that's going to be up to you.
Yeah, we don't tell you, we
We're giving you
don't tell you how to
comments.
design it, we just tell you what's not acceptable.
No
But
problem.
Staff is very capable. I
Yep.
would look into it, and you have some beautiful homes in the neighborhood. And again, that's the footprint. is
Look for
the
precedent.
ballot. Okay, so we want to move for a continuance?
I didn't bring my glasses in addition to not bringing a pen. I didn't bring my glasses,
So Commissioners, with the availability at hand and the fact that February is a very short month, I would recommend a continuance to April 1st. That will allow them time to consider your comments and resubmit drawings. Is that acceptable?
I think March is doable.
I don't think March is doable because February 14th is the deadline, which is day
That's
after
Monday.
tomorrow. Is day after tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, it's day after tomorrow.
Yeah,
I think April's fair.
yeah, I think that's gonna be it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate your feedback.
Perfect. Do we have a motion?
Move to grant a continuance in case ARC 25000047 for the property located at 2904 North Elmore Avenue to the April 1st, that's a Monday, April 1st?
Monday.
To the Monday, April 1st, public hearing at 5:30 PM.
I second.
All right, we have a second. Any discussion? Not seeing any. All in favor, signify with aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Commissioners, your next case is ARC 25-0000101 for the property located at 5610 North Central Avenue in the Seminole Heights Historic District. And this is a new construction of an addition to a contributing structure and the associated site improvements to go along with that. On the Elmo is a image of the Seminole Heights Historic District map. You see the subject property in the green box located on Central Avenue with Powhatan to the north and Comanche to the south. Just zooming in on that for your consideration. You see it is a corner property, so you will be dealing with that secondary facade. Also, another property that's closely situated to Interstate 275. Here's the aerial once again on Central Avenue with Powhatan just immediately to the north. The 1929 Sanborn map showing the contributing structure. I believe the accessory structure has been replaced in the historic district of Seminole Heights, so accessory structures are not considered contributing in any case, and this project does not impact the accessory structure. See a photograph of the front facade facing Central Avenue. This would be the side street off to the corner, and there's a side yard where an addition is being proposed towards the rear. This is the abutting property to the south. So just to the south of this parcel, there's a driveway and then this structure. On the right side elevation, the north side, this is the elevation. And as you move along the property, this is the accessory structure. Primary structure is here, accessory structure, and there's an alley to the rear. Moving to the rear of the property. This is the general elevation. See that there's, say, a sun porch that is been replaced with awning windows, and this is going to be impacted by the addition as well. Just within that area, looking from that rear yard towards Central Avenue, that's the side yard. And then opposite way towards Powhatan, this is the rear yard. Some site photos have the alley at the rear of the property. That's the view to the south, and then turning around, you have the view to the north across the street. This is the property across Powhatan, which is probably better viewed on this shot with the street going down towards the west and the subject property here on the left. And then back to the view down Central Avenue. That's the view south, and then turning around, looking back to the north. So with that, I'll ask the applicant to come up with his presentation, and he'll have 30 minutes to make it.
Good evening. My name is Alan Dobbs with Florida Design Studio, 5912 North Tampa Street. My clients are here. They're new owners of this property. They currently live in Seminole Heights on the other side of the interstate, but they wanted to move more towards the core area of the historic district. So they purchased this house, and they want to modify it, and they want to add some additional living space, master suite, redo the kitchen, all pretty standard things for what young growing families are looking to do. One unique thing about this house is there's 5 others. It's one of 5 in the immediate area that are all very, very similar. I wanted to show those to you because there's some consistent details with these other houses that we want to maintain, and it's just kind of interesting how similar they are. So this is where the property is here. On the corner here is this house. You can see the gable detail is very similar. It has the brick columns. Here's another view on the south side. This is the building on this side right here. Again, very similar. You see the same sort of gable detail, but the porch has been enclosed in this one and also the other one as well. And then this is the south side of that structure. These houses, one of the interesting things is 4 of the 5 are corner houses. So they have this very nice gable detail, but then on the side gables, they're a little bit different, and you'll see that on our house as well. So this is one of the other houses. It's on Central. This is the only one that's not a corner house, but it's interesting because the person that used to own that now owns the house right next door on the corner of Comanche and Central, which is this house. And you can see that the porch did remain open. The brick was not stuccoed. You have the similar gable detail. This one's unique too because it has a second floor addition. All the other ones were 1 story. So we were using this one as a precedent for doing a second floor addition to this house, because as this board knows, it's very tricky working with the existing contributing structure, adding a second floor and doing it in a very sensitive way to not alter the historic character and feel. So this is another view. You can see the second floor back there. It's set back quite a bit, and then when you go around the corner, you can see it's there. It's just a simple rectangle, has 4 pairs of windows, basically doing a very similar thing, and then has a gable detail on the front and the back. And then this just is another detailed view. Regarding the site, it's a fairly large site, oversized but not uncommon on Central, because Central tends to have larger lots, larger homes. So you can see where the front porch wraps around the corner here. This is the existing footprint of the house. The rear utility porch, or sun porch that Dennis called it, is being removed. There's just no way to work with it there. So it almost looks like an addition, so we figure we can justify removing it. And then, so this kind of shows how we're bumping out on the north side a little bit. We're not going beyond here. The roof is fairly complicated, and I'll get into that a little bit. But where we're bumping out here, we're doing a gable, and there's several other gables facing the side street. Basically, the gables on all sides of this house, so that's what we're keeping with. So there's the front gable, side gable, and then this is where we're bumping out a little bit further. This is the master suite area. So we're going all the way to the side yard setback. There is an oak tree here, so we're going to do some things with the foundation to avoid the protected root zone. There's a fence that's existing here and here. We're going to modify it in this area because of the improvements that we're doing. We need to add another parking space that meets City of Tampa transportation standards. So we're just doing that parking right next to the existing accessory structure, and we're bringing this fence back a little bit for sight lines. That was one of the transportation comments that they had. And then another part of this is the rear porch kind of bumps out a little bit on the back, and again, it has a gable as well. One other little thing to point out is the air conditioning. There's an existing unit here, and it's behind the existing fence. This unit, we're going to have it probably in the back, but the fence is here, so it's going to be somewhere concealed by the fence, so you won't see it within the public right-of-way. And then you can also see here the 7-foot setback, and then on the front, 12'11", which is slightly less than the porch here. The existing floor plan is good to kind of point out because it shows where we're adding and kind of how it sort of influences how we're going to add on. This house has a basement. It's one of at least 12 that I know of in Seminole Heights, and it's, it makes a lot of sense because Seminole Heights is very high elevation, very sandy soils, they drain well, so all the, I've worked on like 4 or 5 myself, and there's never been a water issue. But anyway, so this is where the basement is. So, with looking at opportunities for expanding, you can expand out, like we're doing here, and then you can expand up. So we're doing the second floor, we're keeping that minimal, but we're also expanding down, which is very different, but it's kind of a novel thing in this neighborhood, so we figured with the addition, it makes a lot of sense, maybe just in this area right here, to expand the basement, so that's what we're doing. And then this right here shows where we're removing the rear porch. I'm going to show the floor plans just to kind of help you understand why the elevations have developed the way they have with the form and everything. But you can see here the existing basement is here. So we're going to take the stairs that come down here, and then these are existing windows here, here, and here. So we're going to those are going to be new openings to get into this basement. We're going to drop the floor down. This ceiling is right at 7 feet, but the beam drops below that, so we're going to get a little more ceiling height here. But we're going to do some new windows on this, which you'll see in the elevations. But also we need to have an egress window, so we have a light well here with an egress size window there. This is, as you can see, the crawl space of the existing house. This part of the addition will all be frame over crawl space, and then the porch will be concrete on fill because the existing front porch on this house is concrete, so we're going to maintain that. Also, that porch is west facing, so if you did anything like wood, and all those houses I showed you as well, those all had concrete porches. This is the demolition plan which I showed previously. This is where we're opening up for the stair. The second floor, this is basically the area that we're taking out the roof, but we're going to keep the existing ceiling joists and then do new floor trusses between them, which you'll see in the sections. The floor plan, this is the master suite. So you can see the arrangement of windows, how they're configured based on the floor plan, but you'll see how they lay out in the elevations. And then also this bedroom or office right here, same thing with the placement of the windows that line up with the windows in the basement level. And then we have the porch. One of the changes you'll notice from the drawings that were uploaded that you all viewed, we changed the porch. We felt that the porch was not working, so we did 4 columns, which I have some details through here, which you'll see how that lays out. And then the kitchen gets redone in this area, so that's why we're lowering this window, which you'll see in the elevations. But we're picking up on the same sort of coffered ceiling here in the kitchen, and then the stair goes down here to the basement, but then comes up here and then turns. So we have to drop the ceiling here a little bit, which is actually okay because this is about an 8-foot ceiling. This is 10 foot. So it actually works out well. And that way we can keep this center line here and everything sort of lines up. And then on the roof plan, you can see, or second floor plan, you can begin to see how the roofs are working. These are the existing gables, side facing, front, side. This was a challenging roof to work out. Initially, I tried to keep this main gable coming through, but that didn't work. And bumping out on the side, really, when you do that, you have to do a gable. And so that's what we're doing here and here. So then where the porch bumps out is where we're doing another gable. So you can see how everything sort of reconciles. There's a cricket right here, which is not the ideal situation, have a valley, but it's existing, so we're just going to do a cricket here and here. So you can see how the space lays out. It's just an open space. The stairs, you come up and around, so you just have a bathroom here. You can see the pairs of windows. Because the second floor is so low, relative to the ridge, there's really no opportunity to do windows on the front and the rear. I can go back to the picture of the precedent house that I've mentioned, and you'll see why we don't have any windows there. So before I go to the elevations, I just want to show a few pictures and details to consider as you're looking at the elevations. As you see, the house is all brick. This is stucco, textured stucco. It has this pattern here. Originally, this had little corbels here, but those were removed. This house, about 10 years ago, underwent a significant renovation. This whole part was redone, so they didn't quite build it back like it was originally. But like those other houses, one of the gables on the side, you don't have that detail. You have a much more simple detail. You still have the sill with the bed molding here, and then you have vertical tongue and groove here. But a couple other details. There's sort of a brick soldier coursing here, a band that goes around. One of those precedent houses had a stucco band instead of a soldier course brick. These express lintels with smooth stucco and the sills with smooth stucco, again, we're replicating that, or being consistent with that. This is the rear of the house. Again, this just comes off. This is the existing basement access, which goes away. Then these openings, will be modified for the basement. This is the window on the south side that we're going to be enlarging, so we're just going to drop the sill down. We aren't going to do it as tall as the others, but we're going to bring it down to counter height for the kitchen, just to get a little more natural light. Again, the detail, the brick coursing, running bond here, this band that goes around, and then at the bottom here, it's like a smooth stucco scored in like 8 by 16. And that was pretty common on houses of the 20s. Here you can see a little bit more detail with the scored stucco, a little better detail of the window, the soldier coursing. The soffit was probably originally beadboard, but it was replaced with plywood and just painted. See that does. And then just a few more details. This is this recessed column at the porch, and then this is the window at the dining room. So on the elevations, the front elevation is the one that changes the lease, which is appropriate, because we don't want to modify it more than we need to. So basically, this is the existing front elevation, and then this is where we're adding on to the side, but it's way back, as you saw on the site plan. And then the new elevation is here. So we're doing a stucco band here instead of the brick to differentiate new from existing. But it's important to maintain regulating lines. That was one of Frank Lloyd Wright's very important design techniques. So we're keeping the banding and the stucco, scored stucco, and then the brick. And then the addition, this is where you can see how tight that is. It would be, any windows you put in there would not look good, and then because it is so tight, but also, as you know, the elevations are deceiving. This is set back really far, and as you can see in those photos that I showed you, it was real hard to see the second floor addition. This is sort of the other front or side street elevation. Again, front porch, similar detail to the front. And again, this has a simpler detail. I mean, the same detail as the front. And then this is where the existing basement is, and then this is where we're adding right here. I'm sorry, this is where the basement is. Those are existing windows. This is where we're adding right here. And then you can see the second floor, which when we go to the new elevation, this is where the new basement is. This is the addition. That's the bedroom with just a single window, which lines up with the basement egress window, which the well there, it just steps up about 6 or 8 inches above grade. Keep that to a minimum. And then the siding up here, rather than doing lap siding, we're doing shingle. Again, that's what the other house used, so we figure we'll keep similar materials to that other house. And then here you can begin to see the difference on the rear porch. We're gonna have a screen porch, and these are 9-inch square columns, and then sort of cascading stairs that come down. This is the rear elevation, and this is the one that's most significantly altered, because this goes away, and the addition is basically all the way across the back, so you really don't see any of this. So this is the side addition. It has the master suite. Then this is the guest bedroom office, and then you can see the windows to the basement there, similar to the existing windows. And then the porch. We have 3 bays, but they're not equal. It's an ABA rhythm, so that we can get these bottom panels square in proportion. And then we raised the porch beam up higher than the front porch. This is about the height of the front porch, so we raised it up some more to be in line with that band. And then, so you can see how that lays out. And then we just have a pair of doors in the middle, and then cascading stairs coming down on either side. And again, this is similar to the front. And then this is the other side, the south elevation. So similar to the north elevation, we're expanding on the back. This whole piece comes off here, second floor addition. You can see this existing gable. This has the vertical tongue and groove instead of the panelized gable detail, but they all have that lattice. So, so with the addition, this is the master bedroom. This is the closet bathroom area, so that's why we have the small windows there. It's really not within the public realm. I will have to modify this because we didn't get a tree survey, so when I went to go locate the trees, I realized we had an issue there. So this will all be removed, so we'll do some sort of foundation lattice there, and we'll certainly work with staff to make sure those details for that are correct. And then the other thing, which I didn't point out when I was talking about the floor plan, let me go back to the floor plan real quick. Is my clients really, really wanted a fireplace. Very few houses in Seminole Heights don't have a fireplace. So what we worked out was to take, there's one window here, replace that window and put in a fireplace, bump out for the fireplace. That will be stucco. I'll point that out on the elevation, then do 2 smaller windows on either side. I know it's towards the front, but it was a balance of giving my clients what they wanted and doing it in the most least intrusive way possible. So going back to the elevation, you can see we're just doing that for the fireplace. It'll just be a direct vent, because if we do the chimney, then we're going to have conflicts with the 10-foot rule. So we're going to have problems with the chimney. So we're just keeping that simple. And then you can see the windows on either side of the fireplace there. And then getting into the details, because that roof, the house is so wide, I've done a lot of second floor additions, and usually we can just sister 2x12 alongside the existing ceiling joist, maybe raise it up a little bit, so we're not interfering with the plaster keys in the ceiling. But we have to go like 2 feet to get the second floor high enough so that the windows will meet egress for the cell height. So basically we're going to do a 2-foot open web floor truss called a System 42. So this is a little detail here. That's where the existing ceiling is, 2x6 ceiling joist. At the bearing plate, we'll have them sit on top of 1.5 inch blocking, so this is not touching the keys. And then these joists or trusses go between the existing ceiling joist, and then you have the new floor on top. So that's why I highlighted this in yellow. The ceiling heights on the second floor were a little bit lower than standard, 6'6" for the window head height, and then 7'8" for the ceiling here. One of the things you'll notice with the typical detail is this continues straight out, so the soffit height is the same as the interior ceiling. Well, when we did that here, it made the ceiling even lower, so we bumped that up so we can get a higher ceiling. And then I just have this dash line to show where the existing roof pitch was. And then, so this is an important section. It's cross section, obviously, and then this is where the stair is. And then as the stair goes up, it steps over on landing and then goes on up. So this was a critical detail to work out because we didn't want this to be less than 8 feet. You can see the 10-foot high ceiling and the coffered ceiling there. So on this side is crawl space. On this side is basement. This is actually the existing basement, 2x8 floor joist, and then a typical window and basement window. I could probably zoom into that a little bit more, just kind of help. It's I probably should have printed it at a larger scale, but you can kind of see some of the details there. The other section is cutting through the stairs, but doing it front to back so that we can pick up on the existing basement, crawl space, new basement underneath the addition that we're doing to the back, just part of it, and then we have the porch off the back. It will have brick on the inside, that same stucco band that lines up with the beam. The gable here, it has a barge rafter, it has a beadboard soffit here, lattice with a sill and the vertical tongue and groove. The soffit and eave match the existing, and then I have a blow-up detail of this porch on the next page, and then the steps down. So this is, again, you can see the concrete slab on fill. The typical wall section, maybe I'll just start at the roof and work down. So dimensional asphalt shingles, spray foam insulation, 3-foot overhang, that's what the existing is. And then this is the, it has a bed molding, and then the stucco, smooth stucco frieze, and then this is the raised stucco header over the windows. We have wood windows. The windows are set flush to the inside as much as possible so that we can get a brick return on the outside. The wall's not as deep, so the profile painting, the window won't be set in as much, but it's set in as far as we can make it. And then at the base, we have a smooth stucco sill. The brick that we're using is going to be a veneer brick, thin brick applied, because when that's applied and you mortar it, it looks just like real brick. Stucco brick obviously is not an option in the historic district. And also, since the brick is not painted on this house yet, that doesn't make sense. And then working our way down, this is the stucco band that continues all the way around the house, so that becomes like a little header detail for the basement window. The basement window, similar detail as this window with the stucco, the brick return. And then because we have an 8-inch wall here, the window's again set to the inside, so we get a little bit more of a reveal on the bottom here. And then the light wall here will just be a stucco. And the texture of the stucco will match the existing section. There's a smooth stucco and there's textured stucco. So this will be textured stucco to match the stucco texture, or the textured stucco on the house. And then the cap will be smooth stucco. But because we are going down below grade, we'll have extra precautions or redundant systems for foundation drainage. We'll probably have a recessed area in the slab somewhere for sump, for backup. So that's all standard. Over in this area, we're able to span with 2x8 joists to match the existing.
Can you move that up a little bit?
Oh,
We
I'm
can't
sorry.
see that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, so the joist, the window, light well, and then the drainage here, the slab, again, on gravel. So multiple redundant systems to keep water out of the basement, which is really important. This last section detail is the porch. I meant to, when I was showing the elevation of the porch, to kind of show, this was an image that my clients gave me, which is a beautiful porch, has the large columns that go from the beam all the way down. You have the chair rail, and then you have this upper rail, so that's what we're replicating. And then this is pretty literally what we're doing. We have the panel, lower portion here, large open panel here, the upper panel, and then we have the column. It's just a flush column. We're doing it's a manufactured box column. And they're incredible. They're made with kiln-dried pressure-treated wood. They're manufactured product. They're incredibly strong. And what's nice is they're a finished product. You put them in, put a tie rod or a threaded rod in the middle, and they're very strong, and they're finished. So that's what we're proposing for the porch. So you can kind of see how that detail works. And then we also are going to have some lights, maybe on the two columns on either side of the French door. And then that's a little better picture of it. So I wanted to point that out to show you the detail of the rear porch, which sort of starts with the gable. I mentioned some of that before, but we have we have dimensional asphalt shingles, and then we have the finished deck, and then we have actually metal drip right there, barge rafter, and then we have bed molding with the 1x6 rake going down here, and then we have this is going to be painted lattice. It's on smooth hardy that's painted black, so it looks like the original lattice. Then you have a sill, bed molding there, and a skirt board, and then these will be the vertical 1x6 here at the bottom, and then this will be the typical roof material. The overhang, I don't have it dimensioned here, but it's 3 foot, the standard overhang. And there's the beam, bed molding on either side. It's stucco. And then you have, this is a 9-inch column, and then we're doing these 3.5-inch screen frame between them, and this made with 1x material. And then like this is, I didn't dimension, but this is 3.5 inch, and then this is 5.5 inch. This is a little plain detail. And then you can see, at the base and cap, we just have a, we have a base there, and then we have a cove molding that goes around. So it's a real nice, simple detail. This 5-inch slab, the edge of the slab lines up with that band that goes all around the house. I'm almost done. I got a minute and a half. Okay.
Can you slide
And then
that up
a
again,
radius edge at the concrete. And then
Can you go ahead and slide that up?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Did that again. There we go. So, yeah, so then you have the stucco, scored stucco here, and then you have the edge of the slab with this radius, and then over here, I didn't get a chance to draw or blow up the window details, but basically we're doing the similar window details with the windows set back. You have brick molding all the way around. You have a sub-sill right here that's on this stucco sill. There's the single window. You have the double window with the spread mold, and then this shows a little bit more. Can I have like 30 more seconds or a minute? Okay. And then, so you see the bed molding, the window sill there. The windows that we're proposing are Geldwin wood windows. They're an amazing window because the proportions of the stiles and rails of the window look very similar to the older windows. This is a house I did in on St. Clair. Actually, it was Thad Baraday, the guy that presented at last month's hearing for his car wash project. But anyways, that's the existing window and the new window, wood window. And then I'll just finish real quickly with just some of the lighting and other finished materials. The kind of a period style light for like a wall mounted light. These my client provided me, and then this will hang from the porch. The porch door, which doesn't show up in the elevation, but we're gonna stay with the 2-panel door like that. The hardware on the house is currently brass, so we're gonna stay with brass hardware, but we're gonna use the round knobs instead of levers. The fence, we're gonna go with the a little more detailed fence. I know a lot of people do these just standard generic blockade fences, but we want to have a little bit nicer detail. And then along with that, a gate, that has a little detail to it. So since I'm obviously out of time, I'll conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very thorough.
Dennis Fernandez with staff. Just reviewing the staff report, staff findings is that the application is consistent. We did provide some conditions with both the design guidelines and the Secretary of the Interior standards. There was a lot going on in the presentation, so I'm not sure if I overlooked some of these details, but I'll go ahead and provide them to you so that the agent can review those in questions. The screening of the mechanical units on the site plan, I know there's some reconfiguration going on that may also lead to reconfiguration of the mechanical systems and how those will be appropriately screened. He did mention some of the differentiation of the historic materials to the original contributing structure. I want to also just point out the second story pop-up. Also, I think there was a mention of, I heard shake shingle somewhere as the material, and then I heard in a section some hardy. Hardy has been looked at as an appropriate material for additions, but typically those additions are extending beyond the footprint and not going vertical. So I would discuss that. I would prefer to see original materials maintained in a second-story addition of this nature. So that could be a point of discussion that perhaps I didn't quite appreciate when we were going through the staff report development. I think he did talk about the basement egress. I think he covered that. We're looking for just some more information on the operation of the new windows, if those were hopper windows or awning windows, and how those might be differentiated, particularly on the second-story addition from the originals. He did cover the installation detail. Always does a great job with the detailing, and he did cover the column detail for the rear porch. I think very important to this project is also the brick sample. He did mention, veneer brick. We would want to make sure that that brick is consistent with the contributing structures. Always a little off-taking when you see a different shade when you're trying to match brick. And then also, if it is a veneer brick, that it does have the corner pieces so that it doesn't have an odd mortar joint at the corner. I think other than that, everything else was covered in the staff report, so I'll be here available to answer any questions.
Great, thank you, Dennis. Is there anyone in the public to speak for or against this project? We assume so. All right, with that, we're going to move forward to commissioners' questions, and we will start this time on my left.
No questions.
As usual, I don't have any questions. I don't think I've ever asked you a question.
We have to help out staff here, and I'm going to be going quickly through my notes.
Okay.
And I couldn't tell on the photographs below the area, the venting area, what was historically the vented area for the roof. There's a set of, like, it seemed like those are wooden little squares. And then below that, there was some other kind of material.
Yeah, let me, I'm trying to find the picture of that.
The whole gable.
Yeah.
But it was a wonderful presentation, so,
Well, thank you. So this is the gable on the side, which is, has vertical
Yeah, so that's got the vertical siding.
tongue and groove.
Yeah,
In the front, I was trying to, in the front, and this was consistent with those other houses, the other, 3 corner houses, or 4, yeah, 4 corner houses, other 3 corner houses, was they had this detail right here. And, just to kind of,
So that's, the green stuff is stucco?
excuse me?
The green portion is stucco,
No,
or is that a?
It must be stucco because they would not have had hardy, they didn't have plywood or anything like that, back at that time. So I was trying to find the,
So the
the-
vertical siding, I was
yeah.
looking at the vertical siding and I was going, is that tile or, but it's actually just, it's square pieces, they're nearly square pieces of vertical siding, right?
Are you talking about this side?
Yeah.
Yeah. These are all flush, and the sticking, the stiles and rails, if you want to call it that, they're all flush. They aren't. There's no panel detail. I don't know if.
So the green is just bordered by a small piece of trim, but it's the same material.
Yes, it's just painted a different color. Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And you commented once that the soffit, as it exists, is plywood, and you're going to change it back to beadboard?
It's interesting because all the soffit was replaced at one time, and it was replaced with plywood.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks so much better, with beadboard, and that's what it was originally. And those other houses that I showed had beadboard as well. So what we're proposing for the addition is for it to be beadboard because that's the appropriate material. And then if my clients have the money to maybe redo the house someday and bring it back to what it was originally, but that's not part of this presentation.
Okay. So you've got a good reason. That's always.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then there was, let's see here. Oh, the new windows in the pop-up.
Yeah, it's funny because I ran out of time, so I didn't get a chance to summarize with all the conditions, and there's a lot to cover on this one, but all the windows are, for the most part, here, let me go to the elevations, are just single hung, one over one, but the smaller windows that have a single sash, those will be either casement or awning.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, casement or awning or even hopper would be different because they swing in. But I don't know of a window that is a hopper that meets with the wind loading in Florida. So it'd be a casement or awning. They both look exactly the same on the outside. But let me go to the elevation and I'll show you. So like on this elevation, those are obviously double hung or single hung, and then on the side, like the master, where the master bedroom is here, these would either be a fixed sash window, a casement window, or an awning window. Actually, they probably wouldn't be awning because it's vertically proportioned, so it would either be a fixed sash window or a casement window. And again, they look exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
They're not direct set because those two look different because that's just glass, set in a glass top. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, all the single light windows, or single sash windows would be
Mm-hmm.
either casement or awning.
Can we see the proportions of the windows on the new second story?
The second story, yeah, sorry. So those would be casement windows, and I believe that's what they are on the precedent house that I had mentioned, because they are vertically proportioned, but also those need to be egress. So I think on an awning window, there's some restrictions on how far it opens, whereas a casement window can open almost 90 degrees, so you have a larger opening.
Because they're almost square, but I guess they're not square.
Right, here. They are casements. Actually, I can say with pretty good certainty that all the single sash windows will be casement windows, because all of them are vertically proportioned, so they'll all be casement windows.
Thank you, thank you. And you didn't mention your porch roofs, I think.
The porch
The
ceiling?
The ceilings, yes.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah, let me go to that section. I think I did note it, because the front porch does have beadboard on it. Fortunately, they didn't replace that with plywood. But yeah, I have it called out as TNT beadboard ceiling.
Okay. And have you looked at what the color of the brick is going to, what the possibilities are for the color of the brick?
No, that's, as Dennis had mentioned, that's gonna be the biggest challenge on this project, because I worked with Seminole Heights United Methodist Church on the corner of Central and Hannah, which has the same color, sort of buff brick. And when we added a chiller to the church, we had to run the chilled water lines up the side of the building. So we created a chase that ran up the side, which kind of matched, it was right next to one of the pilasters, so it just kind of matched that. We had an incredibly hard time trying to match the brick, so we got something as close as we could, so you don't really notice it unless you're looking for it. But we will certainly work very closely with staff and material suppliers and the contractor to find the appropriate brick for this, because I know it's important to differentiate from existing, but it's also a little tricky to contrast if, you know, like using a different color brick might not look good. So we tried to pick it up in other details, like that little freeze board that I mentioned, doing stucco for that instead.
Okay. I don't think I have any further questions. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. You, very thorough presentation as always. If we could stay on this, just outside of the porch, top left of the porch, where it says concrete parking pad,
Yes, right there.
what is
Okay,
that
let me
little
zoom in.
element right there?
Okay, let me
Zoom in. I don't know if it's a remnant. It's the three black.
Oh, yeah, that's a casualty of AutoCAD.
Okay,
Yeah,
good, good.
I didn't delete it. so,
Staying on this, if you'll zoom back out, I
Okay.
see the AC unit on the north, I think is existing, and I guess you're proposing an AC unit. I think your fence, I understood what was happening on the north side. On the south side, is it staying as shown?
It is, yeah, yeah. We had discussions about maybe relocating it, but it's in good condition right now. So what I recommend to my clients is for this presentation, the fence is gonna remain here. They may decide to move it further forward at some point, but in any case, this AC unit's screened from this street, and it's also screened from Central because it's on the back side of the building.
Okay.
So,
So the sun porch on the back of the house,
yes, that's,
would you say that's part of the historic house, the original historic house?
yes, it's, I'm trying to find a picture of it. That was a big part of our discussions, because I knew that had the potential to be an issue. But the way it's detailed here and also on the inside, it almost looks like it might have been an addition. I was trying to find some pictures I have of the inside, because this brick, and you can barely see the door there, it's all an exterior wall that goes right through there. So it's almost like this just got added at some point, So we figured, you know, it's almost impossible to do any kind of addition or modification without losing some historic fabric. So it's just a balancing act of how much are we willing to lose. So we figured that's sort of an insignificant architectural feature. I mean, it is very nice. It has some nice columns here and stuff, but it,
The houses that you pointed out to us for
Yes.
precedent, did they have this?
I don't know because I didn't get in the back of their house,
Okay.
you know, so.
Okay. The second story. It seems like you really, really had to work hard for not a lot. And I'm not trying to be blunt, but low ceiling, not a lot of square footage. I think the side elevation is very proportional. I think the front elevation is I don't want to say odd, but it seems, there's something about it that bothers me. And this is just a general question.
Okay.
Why work so hard for that second floor?
Because it was part of my client's program. And if there wasn't a house, you know, less than a block away that had almost the exact thing as what we're doing, I would have told them it's gonna be a really hard sell. But this addition, I'm trying to find the picture of that house. Bear with me a second. Because it, oh, here it is. So, this is actually much smaller than ours. Here's how it looks further away.
Yeah, is that?
It's much smaller, but it's actually, it's 444 square feet. So it's a good sized room up there.
Well,
And there is certainly precedent in all the historic districts to have these little bump up things in the middle.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Put that picture back up for a second, though, if you don't mind.
Oh, I'm sorry, what? The
Put
picture?
that picture back up.
Yeah.
The one that has the front elevation.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, so I think it's that one, right?
Well, this is the side street,
Oh, well,
and
okay.
that's a little closer, and then I have one, this is it from the front, right here. You can just see it back there. So I think these are obviously a little more
All right, so
informative.
that's the side view.
And that actually has shingles on it, so that's why we were
Okay.
proposing shingles on it.
So if you don't mind, show us your elevation of the front view.
Well, okay, this is the side, so our elevation, this elevation is the same as this one, because
No, no,
this.
I understand
Okay,
that.
okay. So ours in the front, and I know I don't need to tell you guys this, but, elevations are a distortion of reality. You never see a building this way, because in reality, if you're standing
Can you pull
in
it
the
down?
street, you're seeing something like this.
Right, can you pull it down? We're just.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Let me, sorry, yeah. So, I mean, there it looks a little odd there, but here, you can see from the street, it's barely perceptible. And then on the side street, it's a little more prominent, like, you know, on that side elevation,
Okay.
so,
All right, so go back to your site plan, please.
yeah.
The structure in the backyard that shows one parked car. I don't think we talked about that.
Okay, yes, so one of the discussions with my clients was to build a new accessory structure, but, you know, a new one of those, yeah, they're 200, 250.
So that's not part of
so
this?
So it's not feasible to do a new structure. So the existing is gonna remain, but because we're doing a large addition, the city of Tampa requires, as part of the transportation standards, that you add an additional parking space. You have to have 2 legally compliant spaces. The only place to put one was here. That's traditionally, that's where the parking is on these corner lots. So all we did was just widen the driveway, and then there's a gate here, and then that's the 9x18 parking space there. I didn't mention the transportation is also requiring us to do a sidewalk there, so that's why I'm showing a sidewalk there as well.
Okay, so that accessory structure existing, no changes to it.
Not touching it, right.
Got it. Okay, anybody else have any other questions? Okay, that's finished with our, I'm sorry, go ahead.
There was something else that we had missed. The shake shingles on the pop-up.
Right, okay. Yeah, Dennis had mentioned Hardy. If I mentioned Hardy in my presentation, I didn't mean to because we're certainly not going to propose Hardy. So those would be wood shingles.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. All right, so you have 5 minutes for rebuttal if you so choose.
I think I covered everything, but let me see if, is there anything you want to say? Okay. Okay, so we're good, thank you.
Perfect. All right, with that, we're going to close the public portion of the hearing and move on to discussion.
As usual, a very thorough, detailed, well-proportioned, well-thought-out, complete presentation from this particular presenter. I want you all to know that you did very well in your selection of architect, and it's a beautiful house. No, I think it's tasteful. The additions and the changes are well thought out, proportioned, detailed. The differentiation between the addition and the original house are clear with the stucco banding. No matter how closely they match the brick, there's going to be a slight change of shade in the brick just from aging in that, one's 100 years old and one's new. I think there'll be a very clear distinction on that. It's the way a presentation is supposed to be done.
I agree. I think I have no changes or suggestions for the design.
Since I seem to be making motions tonight. We're going to condition, we're just going to condition the brick, right? So they're going to bring the brick in. Yeah, but I didn't hear anything else that anyone needed to have conditioned.
If there were going to be any additional light fixtures, particularly, I don't think there's anything else. Oh, the root avoidance at the addition elevation.
Lattice.
Yes.
That needs to get some approval for what that is. The opening to the roof.
Is that
I think that's it.
right? And but the root damage, you're going to be required by code enforcement, right? The
Yeah,
root
we'll have to
thing?
go through the root pruning, working with the city, natural resources, and what I had mentioned was, yes, we will review the lattice detail or foundation closure detail with staff, so we expect that to be a
Okay.
condition of approval.
Changing the stem to a bilateral.
Just in that one area, yeah.
Okay, we're all set. Thank you. Okay, move to grant a certificate of appropriateness for the drawings and documents presented at this public hearing in ARC 25-0000101 for the property located at 5610 North Central Avenue with the following conditions: that the brick selection and the lattice detail on the addition should be reviewed and approved by staff. Because based upon the finding of fact, the proposed project is consistent with the Seminole Heights Historic District design guidelines of the City of Tampa for the following reasons: their close adherence to all of the Secretary of the Interior's design standards.
Do I have a second?
I will second.
All right, we have a second. Do we have any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Congratulations.
Thank you. Short
Nice
night
job.
for you guys.
Thank you.
All right, so then I am looking for a motion to receive and file submitted documents and exhibits.
So move.
All right,
So seconded?
second, all in favor? Aye. Motion passes and the meeting is adjourned. All right. Thank you,
Thanks for the
guys.
sign.